In this video, we'll show you how to set up a FreeAgent license and then prepare it for your clients to use. Step 1. Create the license. A FreeAgent license is created in 2 stages. The first stage involves setting it up on your practice dashboard. To do this, navigate to the Clients tab. Then in the top right, click on Add New Client and select New Client. On this page, you need to enter some basics so that you can set up the first part of the license. In FreeAgent, the rule of thumb is that if a box has a red star next to it, then something has to be entered into it. The first box is for the business name. If the business name is a limited company, it would be the limited company's name. And if it's a sole trader, partnership, or landlord, it would be their name. The next field is the subdomain, which determines the URL, the web address for the client's account. Subdomains have to be unique and they can't contain spaces or special characters. With this in mind, we normally recommend that you put your practice initials at the start, followed by a word from your client's business. And finally, we recommend adding your client's code from either your CRM or your files. The client type field lets you choose the type of license you want to use for your client. You have 5 options: limited company, limited liability partnership, partnership, sole trader, or unincorporated landlord. For the partnership, sole trader, and unincorporated landlord license types, you can choose between cash and accruals for the accounting method. You will need to set client status to active, which will mean that you can use the license and finish the setup. If you leave it set to inactive, the license will be in read-only mode and you will not be able to do anything with it. When you mark a license as active, it will also become billable unless it's a free license that's included with a NatWest, Royal Bank of Scotland, or Ulster Bank NI business bank accounts, or a metal account. To set up a free license, select Yes in the next box. You will then be given 4 options to choose from. You can only get a free license if your client has a business account with one of the 4 banks shown. If they do, you will need to input their account number and sort code. If you don't have it at the time of setup, you can contact support at a later time, who will be able to move it to a free license for you once you have that information. The account owner would be either the director that you deal with or the sole trader or owner. You will also need to enter their email address, as this is where we would send the account verification email that allows them to set their password. The final part on this page is the setup of the user permissions. This is how you restrict what your clients can and can't do in the license. The slider runs from level 0, which is no access at all, to level 8, which means they can do most things. These permission levels are reflected in the mobile app as well. One thing to note is that even if a client is a level 8, they will not be able to submit FRS 105 accounts or CT600 while their limited company license is on a practice dashboard. Once you are happy with the information you have entered, you can select Save and continue to Client Setup. Step 2. Client Setup. In the second stage of this license setup, you'll be taken through 4 pages where you'll enter more details about your client. The first page requires some basic information in the business category. Select the type of business that your client carries out. This filters into the performance benchmarking report, which can show your client how they compare to other businesses in the same sector and region. The business name has been pulled through from the first page of setup. Just below this, for limited companies and limited liability partnerships, you'll see a box labelled Find Company Details. This box will search Company's House and will show a list of similar company names. Select the correct one and it will then pull through the company registration number and business address. It will also pull through the date the client officially started the business, the incorporation date, as well as the first accounting year end. One thing to note is that if your client has changed year ends for any reason, then you will need to put this date in instead of the first year end date, as FreeAgent uses these dates to set up the accounting periods. The third date on this page is what we refer to as the FreeAgent start date. This tells the software that you don't want to enter any transactions prior to this date. We also use this date for the opening balances. We normally recommend that you use the first day of the financial period that you're working on. This will mean that for the opening balances, you will only enter the balance sheet items. If your client is already VAT registered, then you can enter those details at this stage if you have them to hand. If you don't, you can enter the VAT settings at a later point. All the information you need can be obtained from the client's VAT registration certificate. One thing to note is that if your client has changed their VAT periods for any reason, then you will need to enter the new date. Also, their first VAT return period end date may not be the first VAT return in FreeAgent, as if they have been VAT registered for a long period of time, then you will need to enter a historical VAT end date, but one that is in the same cycle that you are currently submitting in for your client. FreeAgent also fully supports the VAT flat rate scheme, and you can select the correct type from the drop-down box. Once you are happy with the information entered, select Save and Continue. You will then be taken to the final part of the setup, where you will need to enter the client's bank account details. The only information you need to enter at this stage is the name of the account and the opening balance as at the FreeAgent start date. Once you have entered this, select Save and Finish. Step 3. Housekeeping. In this final stage, we'll show you the steps we recommend you take to finish setting up the license and getting it ready for your client to use. The first thing to do is navigate to the Settings menu. To do this, click on your client's name and select Settings. From here, navigate to Users. Here, you'll need to add any employees and additional directors. The reason for this is that a lot of the nominal codes are auto-generated and added to the menus within FreeAgent. These include Director's Loan Account, Payroll Accounts, Out-of-Pocket Expense Accounts, and Landlord Property Owners for split ownership. To add a new user, click on the green New User button. This page is very similar to the previous screen where you entered your client's details. But the main difference is that here there is a role option where you can select either Director or Employee. After this, move to the Accounting Categories menu. This is where you can enter any additional nominal codes that might be specific to your client that are not part of the preloaded ones. The nominal codes are split out into different types. To add a new code, click on the green button and select Add New. The drop-down list is the same as the list across the top. If you select Admin Expense, P&L, you're shown a pop-up where you need to enter the specifics for the new code. Description is the name of the code, and nominal code will default to the next one available in the range. For reporting name and limited companies, this is where you want it to go in the accounts. And on the sole trader license, it will ask you where it will want to go on the tax return. You are also able to either allow it or disallow it for tax purposes. The final box lets you select the VAT type for the nominal code. This will mean that when you are assigning a nominal code to a transaction, you can select Auto under VAT, and it will use the VAT type associated with the code. Next, you'll need to add any additional financial accounts that were in existence on the FreeAgent start date. To do this, navigate to Banking and then select Bank Accounts. On this page, select Add New Account and you'll see three options: Bank Account, Credit Card, and PayPal account. For this example, we'll select Bank Accounts. We need to give the account a name and enter the opening balance as at the FreeAgent start date. If the account was not in existence on the FreeAgent start date, leave the opening balance as nil. If you are setting up a loan, then enter the balance as a negative. Once you've done this, you are ready for the final stage, which is entering the opening balances. Select Accounting, and then Journal Entries. From here, select the drop-down box which shows the accounting year and select Opening Balances. Here, you'll be shown the balances from any financial accounts that you've entered in the banking section. You'll also see another entry labelled Automatic Balancing Entry. This entry is created and posted to the suspense account and will be automatically removed once the opening balances have been balanced. To edit the opening balances, click on the green Edit Opening Balances button. To add another entry, select Add Another. You are then able to select any of the nominal codes that are in the license. Once you've entered all of the opening balances and the balance, when you click on Save, the automatic balancing entry will be removed from the system. Because of the automatic balancing entry, we have locked the suspense account, which means you can't explain transactions to it. Instead, if you have a transaction that you would want to put to suspense, use nominal code 998 contra account instead.